It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook.
I can't say that when I was a freelancer, the clients I had at the time saw me as an employee or lower on the totem pole or anything like that. But that's how it felt. Once I switched and said, no. I have a business. I'm a business owner. That really changes how you approach prospects, how you approach your client relationships. And it also feels okay to charge more, which is another funny psychology thing, right?
There's a huge difference between being a freelancer, which is always a great place to start freelancing, and becoming the CEO or the leader of your business. Even if you are still small, even if you're just yourself in your business, there's a mindset shift that happens between freelancer and CEO. And that then determines different actions that you take. That then determines how you treat and how you accept money. That then determines the kind of clientele that you work with. And today we're talking with somebody who has an incredible story. In fact, a lot of the beginnings of her story is very similar to mine because she used to be an architect and she then transitioned into something else and pivoted. So we talk a lot about pivoting, and this was not easy for her. In fact, we go through a number of different stories of her trying to figure things out and what's going on in her head. And I think this is going to be a very relatable episode, especially if you have a service-based business. You're going to see a lot of parallels between the kinds of things that Hope Trory has done and what you could do as well to better lead yourself into a life that you would have more fulfillment with, and something that you can get more behind, and something that can generate a lot more revenue for you as well. So let's welcome Hope Trory from hopeworksdesign.com. She's incredible. I think you're going to enjoy these stories very much and the lessons that come along with them. Here's Hope.
You're listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network, a show that's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He learned how to type in 2001 thanks to AOL Instant Messenger, Pat Flynn.
Hope, welcome to SPI. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited and a little giddy because maybe we might talk a little bit of architecture, because I know you have a background in architecture just like I did. Where did you go to school for architecture? I'm curious.
I went to Cornell.
To Cornell. Amazing. If you were to pick a percentage of time that you were in the studio versus like out and about doing other things, how much of your time at college was literally spent in the studio?
I think you know the answer to this. It was like 99%.
Yes, right? Oh, so crazy. For those of you listening, us architects have a bond based on the way we were educated and all that good stuff. So from Cornell, did you go and get an architecture job kind of straight away, or where did you go from there?
Yeah, while still in school, I picked up a job. I started interning at a firm in my hometown.
Nice.
of Detroit. And the idea, so I didn't realize this until years later, how plum this job was as an intern. Okay. I'm still in school. I think it was the summer after freshman year. So brand new. Okay. Just 1 year under my belt of school. And I get home and I'm like, oh, the summer off. I'm going to relax. I'm going to chill. My mom's like, so you have a job lined up? You're going to work in an architecture firm or something? And I'm like, no, I like worked so hard all semester, like for 2 semesters. I want to just relax. And she's like, no, you're going to work. I don't care if it's in a firm, but you're going to have a job this summer. So it's like, oh.
Oh, wow.
So I go around seeing if anyone's hiring interns. Usually, if at this point, it's like June. So it's way too late generally. Like you have to secure that before you leave college or leave campus. But a couple places were interested. One of them even said they would pay me.
Ooh,
No free internship here.
that's good.
So I got a little something, something and started working and doing normal intern type things. But the idea was that I was the baby of the firm and they were going to raise me because they wanted me to come back after college, work with them, and they were very supportive about licensing, supporting you through that whole procedure. And this was before, like it's a bit easier these days, I think. Like it doesn't take quite as long to get licensed, but at the time it took a long time, right? So they were very much about, we're going to make sure you study, make sure you get all the experience you need, like everything you need. So I'm like, okay, this is great. So for almost every semester break, so summer break, spring break, fall break, winter break, I went home and I worked. And it was great. And so after graduation, I was like, well, I know where I'm going. go back to that firm, right? So shout out to Hamilton Anderson Architects of Detroit. Awesome firm to work for. And I learned a lot. And I'm very grateful to them because I got the kind of hands-on experience that I wouldn't have expected to get until I was, post-graduation, ready to be full-time in the working life. And as a student, I was doing all sorts of things. I got to do design work.
I'm so jealous of you right now because, I mean, obviously looking back, it's like, okay, things worked out in the end. But when I graduated was the first time I got a job. And it was through a relationship that I had with a person who used to be in the marching band at Cal. And I was in the marching band. So we had that connection. That was my way in. And I was just thrown into the deep end. Like I was so confident going in because I went to Cal and it was this prestigious school. And then it's like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing because it wasn't real life work that I was doing. I was learning concepts. I was learning about history and all the things that were cool. But then here I was in the actual workforce, very lost. So that's really cool. And I think this speaks to how I feel, at least today, education should be. It should be hands-on, should be mentorship, should be apprenticeship, things like that. But it doesn't sound like you were always at this firm from that point forward. Tell me a little bit about the transition into entrepreneurship. When did that happen in the journey?
So that happened as a result, honestly, of the Great Recession. A lot of projects dried up. It was a little uncertain about the future of things, how long this was going to last, how far reaching the impacts would be. So I was one of those that were laid off. And at the time, that was devastating because it was like, wait, but what am I supposed to do? Like, I've achieved my dream. I wanted to be an architect since I was a small child. Very single-minded determination. Went to a top school. Now I'm at a great architecture firm. What? What's happening? So the idea was that it was not forever. It was something that needed to happen for the firm at the time. And then when things leveled out, they would reach out to bring me back. And it's true. And they did. By that time, though, I had moved to New York City. But because while I understood why I was in the situation I was in, I still needed to pay bills. And the thing is, I had this hobby this entire time, and that was basically designing websites. What basically creating marketing campaigns as well, although at the time, that's not how I would have described it. But while I was still in school, I took a few electives. I think it was called like digital imaging or something like that. But anyway, you learn all sorts of cool things. You learn to code. You learn to use like really cool Photoshop stuff. You mess about with audio. You learn all these digital tech things. And then I took a few marketing courses as well, just because I was interested. I didn't actually think I'd be using this information in my career, at least not that point. But I realized that all of the people that knew I did this stuff and would ask me for help, like, oh, can you build my company's website? I'm like launching something new. Can you build my website? Can you, like, I have a website, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything. It's just there on the internet. How do I get people to come to it? So that never let up, recession or no. And I realized, oh, maybe I should monetize this. Because until I figure out what's going on with architecture, I need resources, I need income. And people, recession or not, seem to be very interested in this sort of service. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start charging. I was doing this for free. It was a hobby. I didn't take it seriously. So I started charging and built up experience and started taking some more courses so I could learn more myself. Moved to New York City. And after a while, I had to make the decision, is this my path forward or am I going back to architecture?
Yeah, I'm curious when you got that call from your old firm and they were like, hey, like we want you back. And you're in New York, you've started this run at web design and helping, you're getting clients. How did you make that decision?
That was tough. Very, very tough. It took a while. It wasn't a snap decision. I love the fact that they gave me time. I wouldn't say they were just waiting on me exactly, but I had the time to kind of feel it out. And one thing that helped make that decision was my mom. I was talking with my mom about it and, being of two minds. I'm like, well, I always wanted to be an architect. Like, I always assumed I was going back, that this whole marketing thing was temporary. So I should go back. And my mom, for one, she said, well, do you really love what you're doing right now? Like, she's like, I know you love architecture. I know that's been your lifelong dream, but do you love what you're doing now? And I was like, well, yeah, it's really fun. It's really exciting. I do. Like, I love waking up and doing what I do every day. And so she's like, okay. And she's like, well, when you were working as an architect, how about that? And I was like, yeah, that's my passion. Like, of course. Then she brought me back to a time when I was in school and I called home because I was just upset. And I had forgotten that this conversation happened completely, but she remembered. And she said, remember in third year, and Cornell is a 5-year program. We have an extra year. So my third year, she says, I called home and I was questioning if I wanted to stay in architecture or explore other opportunities. And I was like, really? I don't remember this. And she was like, yeah. She was like, because, it was a tough year for you for other reasons than school, but it was a tough year. And you called and we talked about this a couple of times. And I said, my mom said to me, I will always support what you do. So it's up to you, like what feels good to you. And I was like, well, at the time that was staying in architecture. And when I thought about that, I was like, oh, I guess I wasn't always so single-minded. I had moments of wondering about other opportunities and trying other things. And eventually, like this is over a period of months, but eventually I went to Central Park. I had a little spot that I like to go to that was generally pretty quiet, especially in the mornings. And I just sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to pray on it. And I'm going to make the decision today, just so I can be at peace. And I did that in the morning. The entire day, I just kind of went about my day. And in the evening, I went home to my apartment and opened up my laptop, opened up Gmail, and drafted an email saying that I really appreciate the opportunity and I'm so glad that you thought of me and that you reached out, but I'm going to continue what I'm doing out here in New York. And I almost didn't send it, but I sent it. And the response was interesting because they were like, well, is it just because it's New York City? I mean, I know it's not Detroit.
They really wanted you. You know, a lot of people, myself included, when they go through a situation like this, oftentimes there's a person who's like, hey, you shouldn't go down that route, right? Like, what are you doing? This is the wrong decision. And, you know, it's so great that your mom was there to help support you no matter what your decision was. So you didn't have that sort of from a family member, but from this company, you have this almost sunk cost. It's like you've invested and they've invested in you all this time and energy and money. For many other people, it's like, you know, my parents paid my way through college to be an architect and go down that route. So I remember what that decision was like for me and how much that weighed so heavily on me even after the decision. Was there any sense of like you might disappoint this company or that you were going behind their backs because they, you know, supported you all this time and now you're going this way? Like, how did you make the decision for you? Obviously, you made the right decision, but that's such a difficult one to go through.
It really is, yeah. I mean, I did have feelings of guilt because of all of the investment of myself, like my time, my energy, money, my family's money, the student loans I took out, like lots of investment. Yes, and I also felt guilty for my firm for investing in me as well and clearly following up. Like those words of we want you back, that was not lip service at the time. Like they were true to that and really did want me back. When I went to Central Park to kind of just to get it done, like make a final decision, one of the ways I knew my decision was the right one was that I felt peace. So there was still fear because I mean, like this was not the plan. Like I'm going very much off my plan of becoming not necessarily an entrepreneur because if I stayed in architecture, the idea was eventually I would have my own firm, you know, that whole thing. But the plan was to stay in architecture. So I'm doing something completely different, completely uncharted for me. But when I made that decision, I felt at peace. And as much as I did still feel a bit of guilt for investing all this time and energy and money into something else, and this all didn't happen on the same day, but I came to the realization that ultimately what my life purpose is not tied to my job or my profession. So I had to go all the way back to why I wanted to become an architect in the first place. And it wasn't simply to do good design work. I mean, yes, of course, but it's because I wanted to save the world. So I saw architecture and design as tools to uplift society, to make our environment a better place. So a healthier place, a more sustainable place, so better for people and planet. And that was something that was core because when I was a child, I noticed things all the time. So I noticed like this pile of old used tires. It was like this giant mountain of just old used tires. And I was always wondered what happened, like what were they there for? What would happen to them? Going to a landfill was not cool. Like even as a child, I was like, that's not good. And then when I would see buildings that were, I mean, I guess they were structurally sound, but like they weren't serving their purpose well. So whether it was a home or a business or office, and to me, it was like, well, we could fix this just by moving things around. Like the design of the space can really improve how people feel in this space. And I knew that very intimately because as a child, I would collect, I have little, imagine taking snapshots or like Polaroids of just specific moments in time. I would do that with the places that I inhabited at the time. So There was one of my favorite buildings in Detroit is the main library. It's a beautiful, beautiful Beaux-Arts building. Absolutely gorgeous. And I'm more of a modern contemporary style, but I give credit where it's due. That's a beautiful, beautiful building. And one of my favorite spaces in that building is not it's a temporary space, a transitional space, but it's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful, like marble staircase that goes around and like this domed inside and like the artwork on the wall. I love just going and sitting and standing in that space because I felt good. It made me feel really good. I was like, I want to do this for other people. I want to design buildings that create this feeling for other people. And so when I set my mind to architecture, that was my goal. It was to have a positive impact generally, like make things better through design. What my purpose is it hasn't changed. My purpose is still the same. I'm in marketing, but I choose to work with people that have the same purpose or similar purpose. So if the purpose of your business is to make this world a better place and all the various ways you can do that, then I want to help that. I want to help you in that endeavor because I feel that as a single person, and even if I stayed in architecture and worked at a firm, had my own firm, a single firm, there's a limit to your impact. But if I'm helping multiple businesses, then that's exponential impact. So once I realized that, I was like, oh, well, sure. It still hurts a little bit to say goodbye to practicing as an architect. But ultimately, I'm still doing the same thing. I'm still after the same result. And that's what made me feel good about my decision to stay in marketing and see it through.
I think that's an amazing perspective. And this idea of the fact that through marketing, through web design and such, you actually can amplify the message even more through other people by helping them. I mean, specifically, your current role is, and what you do as an entrepreneur is you help what we call AECs or architectural engineering and construction firms. So you're still doing the same thing, and you just have a very unique talent that helps and supports those who don't have that talent because they didn't take those electives, because they didn't study further on those things, but they're so needed. With running your own business, legal questions always come with the territory. Like, can I use this contract or agreement? What do I do if a client doesn't pay? Am I even structured the right way for taxes? Instead of Googling your way through legal landmines, imagine having a law firm ready to address your business's legal needs without the sticker shock. That's what you get with Legal Shield's small business plans. Legal Shield helps entrepreneurs access real legal help on contract reviews, collection letters, business formation guidance, and even help navigating IRS audits. Members can schedule consultations, upload documents through the app, and get support from a provider law firm that knows small business laws in your state. Plus, consultations on taxes or trademarks help you stay ahead of potential problems. And if a client is late on a payment, Legal Shield steps in with professional collection letters so you can protect your hard-earned revenue, all for a fraction of the price of hiring a lawyer on your own. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at Framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of Pro on the house. That's Framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. So what were your first steps when you decided that? Did you always know that it was going to be the sort of AEC niche inside of the marketing arena? And then kind of how did you get clients? I mean, that decision is one thing and it's very important, but many people make the decision and don't see any results. How did you start to see results? What were your first steps from there?
I actually did not niche down to AEC at first. It was just any small business. You just need to be a small business. But then I realized that that wasn't serving me. And I had a marketing mentor at the time who said, well, why don't you niche down? She said, small businesses isn't really a niche. There's millions. So that's a little too broad. And when I was thinking about it, okay, who can I best serve? And it kept coming back around to architecture. And I was like, architects don't really learn marketing, business basics at all. So there's clearly a gap here that I can fill. And so I made the decision based on that. And then I started networking at first. So this was maybe 2010, 2011. I wasn't in the mindset of a business owner at the time. I considered myself a freelancer, and that's a mindset shift. So I was a freelancer for a while, and basically I would show up at networking events. I would talk to friends that were still in architecture, and I got a few of my first clients that way. And then just from there, and then from my own marketing activities, like this was also around the time where Twitter was amazing for me, at least, because at the time it felt like it broke down barriers between people that were like in the ivory towers. And so it was really easy to jump into conversations or to start conversations with people that are like almost like exalted these days and have them respond to you. It was amazing. I loved it at the time. But that was a key source because there's a very active architect community on Twitter. So just showing up and participating in the conversations and answering questions, that gave me a lot of really good leads. And some of those leads became clients. And then I also continued freelancing or calling myself a freelancer. And then I eventually had that mindset shift to see myself as a business owner, not a freelancer. And that shift really helped me because it completely changed my marketing game. And I went in on social media because of the accessibility and the connections that I already have made. And then I would pop up here and there at different in-person networking events. I can't really say at the time the networking events were super helpful because as an introvert, I really needed a lot of practice to talk to people, but I showed up, I was there. And then as I got more work, that work became referrals. So those past clients would refer me to other people. And then I started getting traction with my website. And honestly, like it was a shift around 2015, 2016 or so, where I was still getting leads from social and obviously still getting referrals regularly, but I started getting a lot of great leads from search.
Inbound this time.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Can you tell me the difference between your freelancer mindset and your business owner mindset? What does that mean exactly? And what actions are different for somebody who's a freelancer versus a business owner?
Well, for me, a freelancer positions themselves similarly to an employee. Like you don't have an employer per se, like you're not a W-2 employee, but your mindset is similar to someone that is a W-2 employee. And so when you are seeking out work, at least this is how it was for me, I saw myself as almost as an employee to my client. Like they were my clients, but I saw them as it's weird because they weren't the boss exactly, but there was a hierarchy there where they were higher.
They're still telling you what to do.
Yeah, they're the top of the chain. And while I bring my expertise, we're not equal. When I changed my mindset to, nope, you're a business owner, you founded a company, that helped me switch up that hierarchy. So we're on equal levels. Like my client's my client. I'm the expert. They're coming to me for my expertise and they're not the boss. They're not telling me what to do. And in actual fact, they want me to tell them what to do because that's what they're paying me for.
Are you able to charge more? as a business owner versus freelancer?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because and this is the thing, a lot of this is in your head. I can't say that when I was a freelancer, the clients I had at the time saw me as an employee or lower on the totem pole or anything like that. But that's how it felt. And the thing is, how you see yourself, how you feel about a situation gets reflected in your actions and how you show up. So I was showing up as an employee with my freelancer mindset. Once I switched and said, no. I have a business. I'm a business owner. I've founded a company. That really changes how you approach prospects, how you approach your client relationships. And it also feels okay to charge more, which is another funny psychology thing, right? It's like as a freelancer, it's like, oh, I really want to raise my rates. And even though it makes sense financially to do so and you work out the numbers, for me, freelancer also means hourly mentality. That's not necessarily true. For me, as a freelancer, I had an hourly mentality. As a business owner, it's not hourly anymore. And I know there's a lot of freelancers out there that do not work on an hourly basis. So I'm not saying it across the board, but for me, that was part of the mindset change.
I'm sure the conversations change when you are with prospects just from that mindset shift and just the perceived value of what you have to offer, right? Instead of just, hey, let me be a gear in your cog or in your machine versus, hey, this is this missing piece that is not even a part of your machine. It's something new that's coming in that's going to help you get to the results that you want. So tell me about your business now. What does it look like? Is it just you still doing the thing or do you have a team? How's that looking?
Yeah, it's still me. I have assistants, but it's mostly me. And the idea is that within the next few years, I'll build out a small team. I don't really see it growing to a large team, but you never know. In 5 years, I might change my mind. But for right now, I would love to have a small team.
So that's your choice, not you don't see it growing because you couldn't get there. It's just you are making that choice to stay lean, to stay small. What's your decision on that? Part
of it is because I like being hands-on. So there's a level so with my assistants, they help with a lot of the day-to-day stuff that it's not even necessarily that I don't want to do it. A lot of it is, but it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just what makes the most sense for my time. And if I look at it from a numbers perspective, it doesn't make sense for me to do some of that work. So I hire someone else to take care of it. And then for building out a team, I would see them as being more than assistants. So it's not a team of assistants, but it could be a coach. It could be maybe an ads expert. I don't know, something like that. So they're bringing their own expertise to my company. And I like the idea of keeping the team small because I feel that there's a really exciting energy that comes with small teams, at least in my experience, that I would like to develop for my own company.
But I hope if you hire 30 people to do more of what you're doing and you have an office and you could make $1 million, $10 million, you can have a $20 million company. Why not go down that route?
It's not very attractive. It's not
you,
really about the
honestly.
money.
Yeah. And I say that, as an example, I'm not saying that that's what you should do. I love that you've made this decision. I just want to use this as an example for everybody listening that you don't have to grow. When you know why you want to do something, every decision becomes so much easier and you don't have FOMO anymore, which is the big struggle that we entrepreneurs often have. So I just thank you for being that example.
No problem. I mean, there's other ways to grow as well. It depends on your systems and how much you lean into automation, but you can grow your client base while keeping your team really lean because you're leaning on machines to help.
Do you have an example of that?
Okay, so for one example, I have recently, 6 months ago? Yeah, 6 months ago, I gave my main assistant a little bit more strategic work to do because I realized that by setting up automations, a lot of her day-to-day work, like manual work, could be done by an automation sequence, a very complicated one, but an automation sequence. And so with tools that you have these days that are available to you at an affordable price, it really makes sense to lean on them because they can take so much off your plate. And it just happens like clockwork. Like something happens, that's a trigger, and that just is like a little cascade. Everything else in the path happens. Because of that, my main assistant can do work that is a bit more impactful. So she does a little bit more content creation work. I'm actually training her on some really basic like website development stuff that she can do. She wouldn't be able to do that if she was doing manual like copy paste or like checking different things on different like browsers and all of that stuff. So you automate the whole process and the machine's taking care of it. And now she can focus on something else that has a bigger impact on helping me. It's great. Even things like it could be something really small that could be a huge help. Something as simple as when you have a booking calendar. And that's really common these days, right? Just about everyone has one. However, if you think about it, you have your booking calendar, someone wants time on your calendar, you just send them the link to your calendar and they can figure it out from there. Whereas before you would need to like go back and forth on email or phone or something to like pin down a date and a time. Or if someone books out time on your calendar and you have automated emails to prepare them for the call and to answer any questions that they may have based on similar questions you've gotten in the past. And if they need to reschedule, they don't even need to reach out. They can just go click a reschedule link and say, actually, I need to change the time and day. And you are just going about your day while all of this happens, instead of it being a person needing to manage all of that. And that's just a really small example. And it's a really common one that I think people probably don't notice so much anymore. But it could be something small like that. It doesn't have to be a major component of the back end of your business that can do a lot to bring more ease into your day.
Yeah, love that. As we wrap up here, Hope, this has been incredible and I'm sure very inspiring, especially for those who are just getting started. What were some of the mistakes that you made that maybe you wish you knew about ahead of time as you started your entrepreneurial journey, especially back in that time where you made that decision to become an entrepreneur and your own, well, at first freelancer, but then a small business owner? One or two things that you can remember from your past, maybe a story, even if you have one.
Yeah, I would say one thing would be to seek out a community of similar people. Not necessarily like hobby wise, but if someone is also starting a business, hang out with them, learn the ropes together. That was key. I did have a mentor at the time, which was super helpful.
Where did you find your mentor, your first one?
I think it was just online, like a Google search.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Really good SEO led me to. But yeah, oh, that was so long ago. But yeah, but she's actually the marketing mentor and she's great. But in addition to your mentors, to the people that are slightly ahead of you in the game, really build a community of the people that are at your level or slightly above, because that really decreases the loneliness. So one thing, even as a freelancer, I had many instances of feeling like I was doing everything alone, which was tough. And I make it a point these days to stay in community so that while, this is my business and it's just me right now, I don't feel alone. I have a community of other business owners at similar levels, and we are...
Even as an introvert, you do this.
Especially as an introvert, you need to. You need to.
That's great. What communities are you a part of now?
Well, one is SPI Pro. So
Woo.
I am, and I highly recommend it. And I'm also a part of a community called Silver Linings. So they're great. I do a lot of talks with their community and awesome. But yeah, I love them. And obviously you have like the social and things like that. I've been less on social these days, but you can find community anywhere. You just need to actually look for it and keep looking for it until you find the right fit.
So good, Hope. Where can people go to check out your work? I mean, I know not everybody here might be an AEC or have an AEC company, but perhaps they might know somebody and would love to refer them to you. Where can they go to check out your work?
Sure. Yeah. My website is hopeworksdesign.com. So HOPEWORKSDESING.com. And while you may not be within the AEC world, if you are a service-based business, I can help you. And I have lots of lovely goodies on my site that you can take part of.
Ah, you're amazing, Hope. Thank you so much for this. This was incredible. You're such a great storyteller. I think it's no surprise why, even though you had pivoted, you're successful. Looking back at that moment when you were in Central Park, if you could like somehow time travel to that time and see yourself in the park alone while you were thinking, what would be the one thing you would say to yourself about the future to help encourage you to make that right decision?
I know exactly what I would say. I will put my hand on my shoulder and I would say, it's okay. Do what you know you want to do.
Nice. Thank you, Hope. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Pat.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that interview and conversation with Hope Trory. This has been such a fun conversation, especially through Hope's stories, almost kind of relive my own. And I love how she had been working with this other company that has helped her, and now she's helping them. And there's so many great things about this. And I think if there's one thing to pull away from this, it's definitely that mindset shift between freelancer and CEO. And even if you, on paper, call yourself a CEO, are you actually treating your business and the work that you do like a CEO or like a leader in your business versus the sort of W-2 mentality that comes with being a freelancer? A lot of things unlock for yourself when you make that shift. So I recommend you think maybe you might need to go on a walk and think to yourself a little bit and then make those decisions to make that happen. And definitely check out Hope over at hopeworksdesign.com. Again, even if you're not an AEC firm or anything like that, but if you got a small to mid-sized business, especially a service-based one, she can help you out. hopeworksdesign.com. Thank you, Hope. I appreciate you. I'm sure everybody else here was super grateful to hear your story today and will want to connect with you too. So cheers. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. I appreciate you and I look forward to serving you in the next episode. Cheers. Thank you so much for listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn. Sound editing by Duncan Brown. Our senior producer is David Grabowski, and our executive producer is Matt Gartland. The Smart Passive Income podcast is a production of SPI Media and a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. Catch you next week. I get it. You want to grow your business, but selling at scale feels overwhelming. You're drowning in complicated funnels, creating different lead magnets, or constantly posting on social media. And that gets exhausting fast, especially when you're trying to sell to hundreds or thousands of people. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? A score app quiz or assessment asks your audience key questions and gives them instant personalized results based on their answers. Your audience gets to know where they are now and shows them the steps they need to hit their goals. You can set up a quiz in minutes using Score App's templates and have a powerful lead magnet that'll do the selling for you. The best part is your audience actually wants to take this quiz, and you build huge amounts of trust before you even make a single offer. No hard sales, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. Just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI. More people dream about building their own business and being their own boss rather than retiring early. But a majority of them never even take the first steps to register the business. Why? Because starting a business can feel overwhelming. With legal forms, paperwork, finances, it's a lot. And that's where Taylor Brands comes in. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal and business assets separate from day one. And from there, you can get access to everything you need to get off the ground, from legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, our listeners get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. Just head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands.